Welcome to the Two Beast Podcast. We're Chris and Ollie, and we wanted to find out what happens when you commit to making 100 episodes of a brand new podcast.
Join us each week as we explore the worlds of fitness, improving ourselves, and things that make us laugh. Let's jump in to this week's episode.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, to the Two Beast Podcast.
Welcome to this quiet podcast.
This is our late night radio FM DJ voice.
I was fucking looking for these all day yesterday.
What was that?
My earphones.
Oh.
I needed them and I didn't have them, and it was frustrating, and I was very, very angry. But I've been angry all week, but maybe we'll talk about it later. Right, ready for this?
Damn, I am. It's a good start to this one, ladies and gentlemen.
Though the intensity may differ from person to person, you can be sure that everyone you meet is driven by two primal urges. The need to feel safe and secure, and the need to feel in control. If you satisfy those drives, you're in the door. The person across the table is never the problem. That's from Chris Voss.
Just a new thing. The quote of the pod.
Well, it allows me to lead with a question, and the question is, when is it okay, or when is it sensible to abandon someone or write someone off as just a loser and move on?
Damn.
If at all.
Straight off the bat.
Is that ever
a
a realistic option?
I mean, I feel like we've talked about this before.
Have we?
Yeah.
When?
On multiple little occasions throughout several podcasts that we've done.
All right, well, let's bring it together then.
But I guess we can bring it into a nice little present, put a little bow on it.
Yeah. You think someone should be abandoned? Just because they're not quite as good as you?
What do you mean by abandoned?
I mean, just say, wanker, move on. And that's pretty much exactly what I mean too. Just
straight up.
Just so they've come to you, they've talked to you about stuff, and you just go, you're just fucking beyond saving. You're just a dickhead. And you just write them off.
Okay, so doing the old Uno reverse, why would you feel the need to say that to someone?
Because it feels like it takes too much time to deal with their problems.
So what you're saying is someone that's coming to you expecting you to make all of their problems better?
No, well, that could be an angle. I'll give you the reason why maybe if I explain the context behind why I'm curious about this topic. Jess, my girlfriend, is extremely kind and patient with people. It's one of her best things. She's able to, her ability to empathize with people is extremely fucking powerful. And so she'll have a lot of time for people that I would just not have time for. And equally, I feel like that's her strength, but I also feel like my strength is the ability to just fucking write people off and move on and not waste my time on them. I also feel like that serves me well. So it's like both of these things are advantages, and I'm just wondering where they meet in the middle.
Well, I think from a relationship standpoint, and I have this with my girlfriend as well, I think the fact that you can be like, I think with like in terms of like the yin and yang thing, right? Like that comes together to make one great relationship.
Oh,
I feel like you have to be very different.
Yeah.
Well, not very different. You have to have similarities, right? But if each of you sort of like, if you imagine it as a jigsaw puzzle, you have some bits, the other person has another bits, and then you put that together to one. That's what you're trying to do, is you're trying to use your puzzle bits to fill in that other person's and vice versa, right? So I think that's one thing to take away, is that if you are looking for that person as a relationship, it's really important to find someone that you do. Trying to think of the word, but I can't think what the word is.
Compatible?
Yeah, I guess so, yeah. It's really compatible with, and they have advantages, you have advantages, and you come together and that forms one big Power Ranger, Megatron form, final boss form that's like, yeah, fucking holy shit, man.
Right. Find someone you can be Megatron with.
Yeah, man. It's a terrible way of explaining it, but going back to what you were saying in terms of binning people off, I think on the one hand, you need to do it. So from your perspective, I think it's a good thing to have that ability, because you've only, like we've said before, you've only got so much time. You can't give your time to absolutely everyone. But at the same time, I feel like from your girlfriend's perspective, that's also, I think it's very good to have both, because I think you can bin someone off without necessarily doing it in a way that makes them feel like, okay. And I think we talked about that last time as well.
Sometimes, not always.
Not all the time, but I think if you can go in with the mindset that you're trying to give them something to be like, right, I think you just need to take some time, man. Like, it looks like you sound like you've got a lot of shit going on. I think you need to sort it out. Like, I can offer advice, but I can't do it. I can't do everything for you. Yeah. You know, I think that comes down to honesty at the end of the day.
Would you consider going about 6 inches away from their face and screaming "fuck off" at them a good way of doing that?
No.
Yeah, I guess I want to clarify when Jess is being empathetic to people. She's nice to people and understanding to people and gives time to people who sometimes, rarely, but sometimes to people who I would have just fucking left in the dust ages ago. I just would not have fucking put my time. But I don't think she does a bad job of it. I think she does. I think she's right, not me. You know what I mean? I think I want to be more like her than
the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not coming here saying, "Oh, how do I convince her to bun these people off?" That's not what I'm saying at all.
No,
that's like our best thing.
Yeah.
And she's not ever, because you get the people that are empathetic to the degree that they're just doing it to cover up for not dealing with their own mistakes, and that's not her at all. So I think you can have your cake and eat it too. I think you run the risk when you discard people with such a... Like, I've got a pretty strict criteria, and I'm wondering how much benefit I've discarded, how much
When you say strict criteria, what are you referring to? You're referring to like who you have around you. There's a strict criteria for.
Yeah, like it's hard to explain it, because it's like, the way I would describe it is you just got to have your shit together. And so what does that mean exactly? Because who has got their shit together? It's like no one really.
No.
So I am aware of that. Like, it's not like I'm... Plus, I also think, who the fuck am I? Like, who the fuck am I to have such high criteria anyway? You know what I mean? It's not... But there's just a vibe there where it's just like, you're going to be a hindrance to my mission, and therefore you have to go. Whereas Jess would be like, this is going to be a hindrance to my mission, but maybe I can bring you on board.
I mean, I think everyone's different in terms of, you know, who you are, what your personality is, and all that side of things. And I feel like you just have to go into it with a mind. I think it's a mindset thing. I think you just have to change your mindset.
To what? What does that mean?
Whatever you feel is appropriate.
Because you can always change your mindset, but like, what does that actually fucking mean?
Like I've just said, that's different to everyone. It's different for everyone. Like, depends upon what you feel is the right thing to do with that person. Do you feel like the right thing to do is say, you're being a twat, no, don't really want you in my life, see you later? Or do you want to go down the Jess route and be a bit more like, oh no, how can I actually change this person's mind to be... Well, not change this person's mind, because you can't really do that, but like, how can you bring this person on board so that they can understand where I'm coming from?
Yeah, bringing it on board was a bit of a rogue term for me as well, for me to use. I think it's more like just actually be a good person.
Yeah.
I sometimes feel like I'm not a very good person.
I mean, maybe. If you're saying stuff like that in terms of like...
I'm not screaming fuck off in anyone's face.
No.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it?
It is hard. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I just think people are different. I don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think there's a necessary need to have to feel like you need to be like a certain way. I think you can always try, and as long as I think it comes down to intention as well. As long as your intention is good, then that's all that matters, in my opinion. Really,
the kind of litmus test that I throw on it is, I go from it from a place where, yes, everyone can be saved. I think regardless of what situation, not you can save them, but I mean they can save themselves.
Yeah.
No matter how fucking badly down the road you've gone, there is a chance you can turn it around. Obviously, as you progress further in life, your potential decreases based on the behaviours that you've been inefficient with throughout your life. Like a newborn baby, fresh out the fanny, right? Max potential.
Yeah.
It could be the fucking next Jeff Bezos. It could be the next Elon Musk. It could reach interplanet fucking all that shit. But then it makes mistakes, or the parents make mistakes in raising it, and then that slightly lowers the bar. The bar's still exceptionally high, and it's way higher than you think it is, like all the way throughout. But as the kid, grows up fucking playing games and not studying and doing whatever, doing kid stuff, like it's all reasonable. But as he grows up doing kid stuff, his potential just sort of drips away. It's like gets less efficient over time.
Yeah.
And then, so even if you're like 50 and you're an absolute fucking crackhead, I think you can turn it around. I think it's unlikely that you'll be as great as you were if you had started doing this when you were fucking 10. But it doesn't mean it's not worth striving for. You're still going to feel way better than you are now. The issue is when it comes to my involvement in that, because I too am on my own mission. And so to what degree does helping you become inefficient behaviour to me and my potential?
I would say when you start to put, when the balance shifts between you starting to put too much energy and bandwidth into other people and not leaving enough for yourself.
Right, but also, if you think of parents, that's exactly what they do. They put all of their bandwidth into their child, if they're good, and they don't leave any time for themselves. They basically just keep themselves alive in a lot of instances. And that serves them very, very well.
But that's also their mission. If you're talking about it from that perspective, that is a parent's mission.
Yeah.
You're not a parent yet. It's not your mission currently.
but it's the same. It's to say that helping people is just exclusively inefficient behaviour maybe isn't the right call.
No, of course it's not. I mean, there's people who spend their entire lives literally dedicated to helping others.
Right, exactly,
right?
Yeah.
Like that is their mission. Like a lot of like millionaires and billionaires, a lot of them do philanthropy, is that what they call it, right? They give money to charity and they try and help as many people as possible and all of this. There's loads of stories about that sort of stuff. Even just regular people who aren't millionaires, who haven't got loads of money themselves, all they do is care about other people. So I guess it's just this again, it comes down to like, what are you trying to get out of your life?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What do you want? Do you want to focus on yourself and your family? Do you want to help everyone else? Does it not really matter about where you end up in your life? Or do you want, and therefore you're so focused on making sure that other people are all right, then do you not leave any time for yourself? It's all a big balancing act. But I don't think there's a right or wrong answer either here. I don't think there's like a steadfast, this is what you should do. Because that is the beauty of life, right? The beauty of life is that it's so open. It's like, it's like an open world. It's an open world RPG that you can and do what you feel is, the right thing to do, I guess.
I've definitely noticed that. I've had enough time on the planet now to see that really is true. It really is like an RPG. It really is.
Like a sandbox thing, isn't it? Is they call it a sandbox? Yeah.
Kind of,
a sandbox game.
Yeah. You really can just build up your stats and things in the world get easier. And you can apply that to anything. You can literally get better at anything that you put time into. Like even how much you can work without getting tired or bored. Like if you live in the boredom for a bit, if you push yourself in the boredom a bit further, maybe it's a tricky game because, you can, there was a time when I couldn't really edit for more than 1 hour a day, like in my worst, like my most weasel form. without going, oh, this is fucking shit, I'm bored, I want to play games, I want to do whatever. I had like these other temptations and like immature things floating around that I wanted to do instead. But, you know, then one day I'd just sit there and do 2 hours. And then I would like not work for 3 days because I was like, fuck this is shit. And like maybe that's extreme levels, but it was that kind of stuff. You know, you snap back the other way. You push yourself too far, you basically break down, and then you just rebel against yourself for a couple of weeks. But if you pick up the pieces and you go again, and then next time you hit that 3 hour mark, you're like, well, I've done this before, so can I do 3:10 or whatever? And like, it's so important to just do something for the first time and know that it works. And I think maybe that's where it's missing with the people thing. I don't know that there's ever really been a time. I can think of one example maybe where I've put a decent amount of time into a person that's not immediate family, and it's been worth it.
It's also a game of, life is a game of risk as well.
Yeah.
Because you could do that, you could put a load of time and effort into someone for it then to end up them not, you know?
That makes me feel better about it actually instantly.
That's the other way to think about it, isn't it?
As soon as you said that makes sense, because like, there's an element of life where you just surrender to the risk.
You have to, yeah? You just have to roll the dice.
Yeah.
Whatever that lands on, like that's what you have to deal with.
Yeah, so if you're going to help someone, you may as well fucking do it.
Yeah, and it's, you know, you can relate it back to business. Like I've had a few, if I relate it to my job, like I do a lot of like hiring of new setters and stuff now. And the biggest risk is always, when you're hiring someone, is all you've got is what they're giving you, right? So in like an interview type scenario, whatever they're telling you is the only information you've got to go off. Until you put them in that role, you've got no idea, right?
Yeah.
So then we started implementing different stuff. We started like having them in, setting blocks, working with a team, so we could actually see how they work in that dynamic, because what they can sit there and tell you in front of an interview room is very different to what they're going to be like. And we had one situation where that happened quite prominently, where in the interview we were like, oh, he's amazing. Take him in with the team, and it's like,
he's an asshole.
Yeah, like this ain't working, man. So, and a lot of stock we've started to put into is like who that person is as a person, not even as a setter, because you can train that person to be a better setter. Like that's literally part of the job.
It's true.
Can't train you to not be, you know, a certain way as a person. You know, that's very difficult. So, yeah, it's always a game of risk, and it's always a game of like you just have to roll the dice on someone at some point, and I feel like sometimes you get the gut feeling, don't you, right? There's like that feeling that you get when you're like, I think this person might be this is worth banking on.
Yeah.
So then you put the time in. And it's always like an exchange, isn't it? It's always like you always have to, there's always some exchange of time, really, whether it's your time or someone else's time or whatever. There's always that exchange of time. So, you know, there's been instances where you've put loads, and again, coming from business, you like put loads of time into working with someone and making them a better person, making them a better setter from my work like perspective, only for them to move on and go and find another job. And you're like, fucking hell, man, I've just put like God knows how many hours into this person, and then they've gone on, and it's nothing against them. That's what they've chosen to do. But if you compare that to life, it's sort of like a similar game, isn't it? It's like you put a load of stock into people, and then they go off and do something else, and then they're gone.
That's an interesting thing with the employees part, because it's easy to see that as a betrayal when you train someone because you think that they're going to be the next best thing about the place, and then they move on. But that's equally, I think that's the smartest thing for a good employee to do. Like, good employees are always going to do that. They're going to go to wherever pays them the most. Mm-hmm. And
gives them the most opportunity and room to grow and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and they're going to be in the same industry and looking around the same stuff. So, of course, somebody who's, if somebody joins your company and they do really well and you don't promote them, that's going to be a problem. Equally, if they join your company and they do really well and you do promote them, and now suddenly on their LinkedIn they've been promoted 3 times in the last 5 years, then other competitors are going to see that and they're going to be headhunting. They're going to say, this motherfucker's been climbing the ranks. Let's see what this guy's about. Like, can we offer him a little bit more money to come over with us? Doesn't even take much.
No.
Like $5 extra grand a year, and they could fucking steal that guy from you, and that $5 grand is going to make a huge difference to this guy. And it's like, I don't blame them for doing that. I think I would try to not take it personally. No,
you can't.
It's just the game.
But then that's the same thing with, is that not the same relatability to people in your life?
If somebody came to you, another climbing company, and said to you, Maybe actually a slightly smaller climbing company, because there's not many people like the Hangar about.
No, yeah.
If there was a smaller climbing company and say,
Yeah.
like, we're looking to grow big this year, here's a 60k salary, or like double whatever you're on now, would you leave? Double.
I mean, I'd have to seriously consider it, wouldn't you?
Right?
Like, you couldn't not.
And do you really think Jed would blame you for taking that job?
No, I don't think Dan would either. Really, I don't think anyone would. Like, they wouldn't blame you. There would be a little bit of like, he's sort of sold out for money.
Oh, come on, dude.
What?
You're entering the phase of your life where you might be getting married and having a family type of thing. Like, the next 10 years.
This is what I'm saying. Like, from a personal perspective, they would be like, probably they would be, and I'm not like speaking for them. They might think that I'm a total fucking backstabbing bastard for doing this, right? I don't know, but I would like to think, knowing them the way I do, would be like, I totally get that from a personal perspective. Like, they would probably done the same, right? Yeah. But like, I guess from there, it's a different between like a business thing. They'd be like, fuck, it's like bad to lose him sort of thing. And then you get, I guess from that perspective, you then get into like a negotiation thing where you'd be like, oh, what can you offer me to stay?
Oh, you got leverage, yeah.
All of that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a funny question, man. Like I have sort of like, it's an idea that crops into your head. You're like, what if someone did come with a big old bank? Would you do it? I mean, it's a difficult one. Like it would also, for me, it would depend upon what the job offered. Like, it's not just a case of like, money is not the sole driving factor for me. Yeah. It's also what that job would entail. Yeah. Like, let's say, I don't know, someone in the States, let's say a big wall in the States was going to offer me like a load of money, similar role and I get to live in Colorado, which has some of the best climbing in the world. Like, I mean, that would be a pretty hard deal to sort of not take, you know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting point.
Yeah, it's hard to know where that would.
You wouldn't know until you were in that situation and you had that, basically like the options laid on the table, wouldn't you? Like, you wouldn't have a clue until you were there. So
I think the other thing is the offer versus implementation is a big thing as well. Like, if a client came to me with a shed load of money, like, hey, here's a job for 100 grand, like, or like, 20k a month or something, retainer.
Yeah.
But they were an asshole. It would be very, I could maybe do a couple months before the money, I've got used to that now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wish I just had my time back, because you're taking up my time and you're making me feel angry every day.
So that's the biggest thing, isn't it? It's like, for me, like the Hangar has only been nothing but amazing to me, right?
Yeah.
And every time, like the people I work with are great. Like, very rarely do I have an interaction where I'm like, oh God, I got to work with this guy. Like, it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Whereas you can always see that other offer and you can be like, oh, it's got all these things on the table. But then you might end up selling that whole idea of being like, well, I don't really have to, it's not really work for me.
Yeah.
To then moving to somewhere else and being like, fucking hell, like I've got all this money now. I get to live in this amazing place. But actually, like, my job day to day is
I hate it.
I hate it.
Yeah.
So that grass is greener thing, right?
Yeah.
It's always that. That's always a thing you've got to think about.
Yeah, that's true.
But then you also have to think about your own career progression, and if that's what, that's always been the big thing why I left the centre I was at now, I used to be at, to the Hangar, that was the reason, right? It was like the career progression was there. I could see it in front of me. You had this company that was opening sites left, right and centre, like it's growing. They need more setters, they need this, that and the other. And then it just sort of works.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a weird thing to try and think about.
Yeah, it is weird.
But yeah, I guess to bring it back to like the people and giving your time to other people, like it's like that risk thing, isn't it? I think that probably sums it up the most, right? Like the whole rolling the dice and you just have to go with your gut. And if you feel like that person really can't give anything to you, then you have to be like, find that way to sort of move on from them. But if they can genuinely give something to you, then maybe it's worth the gamble.
I think maybe I'm trying to figure out what my issue actually is, because I don't feel like we've tapped it. Like, I don't feel better yet.
Have you actually changed it? Yeah.
It's not, I don't regret at all. No one around me at the minute puts the wrong amount of time into people. Like you say, it's a case-by-case basis. It's a person-by-person basis. It's how much you can tolerate as well. And Nobody seems to be messing it up at the minute. Jess is way nicer than me to people, but it doesn't take away from her life. Like, it kind of does. I mean, she's got way more messages in the morning to answer than I have from all of her friends, all catching up and chit-chatting. But I don't know, I guess that's just like a woman thing as well. I don't know.
Possibly,
I don't really know how it works.
Yeah.
I've just written it off as that's what women do, and they like that stuff. And
Yeah.
Whereas men, we don't really like talking about stuff anyway, do we?
Yeah.
It's so hard, Ollie, right now. But I think this is it's quite painful to admit this, to be honest. But it's not just that I write people off when I think that they're not in a good place or anything like that. It's I really try not to, but I think that is how you would describe it. I kind of look down on them. I kind of go, you're not here yet. You're not here yet. You can't sit with us. It's so easy to fall into that trap of not just, hey, you know what? I'm on a mission right now. I really cannot be disturbed. And this is a lot of problems that you're bringing to the table that I'm not going to have time to deal with properly. So we best just keep our distance because I don't want you coming to me for help and then me giving you bad help because I'm in a rush. That's like a nice, compassionate way to fuck somebody off. But I'm kind of like, sometimes I'm kind of like, well, you haven't even sorted this out yet, you dickhead. What are you coming to talk to me for? Why are you coming to talk to a guy who's sorted that out already? You know, why are you wasting time worrying about those things? You know, I guess it's kind of the same thing with like at its most primitive form, for example, the transgender thing. To me, sometimes I think the worst part of me sometimes just goes, you haven't even figured out whether you're a boy or girl yet. Like, what the fuck are we going to talk about? What are we going to talk about? Business decisions. What are we going to talk about? Life decisions, path choices. Like, you haven't even got the fucking fundamentals sorted out. You know, you don't even make your bed in the mornings, for fuck's sake. Like, why are we talking about where we're going to go with our careers? We're not, are we? We're not going to talk about that.
I mean, from where I'm sitting, it sounds like it's just a perspective change. Because what you're saying is you're like, I can see it in the way you're saying it. One of them's very like, you're not here yet, keep your distance. The other one's like, oh yeah, you know, I can see like you've got some, it's just a different in perspective and the way you're going about it. Like, you know, one of them's very like aggressive, sort of a bit like standoffish, don't come near me. The other one's like, oh no, come on, like I can probably help you in some ways, but I ain't going to be able to give you everything. Yeah. You know?
I don't want to be aggressive and standoffish because I don't like how that, when I've allow myself to feel, what is the word? It's not disgust.
What's up, winners? If you're loving this podcast, make sure to drop us a 5-star review on Spotify. And if you aren't already, be sure to follow us on our social media channels. That's YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. 2 Beast Podcast, the number 2 Beast Podcast. Let's get back to the show.
I've always said that if I went back to the first day of university again, if I woke up and all this was a mirage, and I was actually at day 1 of uni again, I'd just go straight to the nearest bridge, fucking end it. Just wouldn't go through all that again. And what I mean by that is, I'm grateful for all the experiences and things that I've done, but if I had to do any of them again, just imagine going back like 5 years ago, knowing what you know now, knowing what this feels like, to have what you have, and having to go back to 5 years ago and say, right, where am I going to live? Like, I haven't got a car because my car's gone. I've got no money. I'm back in overdraft. You know, it's like, like you did it before, you can do it again, but fucking hell, it's a pain in the ass. And I think maybe when I see people that are further behind in a particular thing, there's other places where people are ahead of me, of course, and all the rest of it. Like, I'm not trying to sound like an asshole, but not that far ahead in the game at all. But when I see people that are where I was, part of me just has a real like desire to avoid going back there, even mentally, and just thinking about it. I just want to plow on forward, and I guess that comes at a cost. The darkness of that is that you leave people behind, and I'm happy to write that off as a reality of life, because I can justify it in my twisted head as, oh well, I'm trying to push forward so that I can provide for family and all the rest of it. You know, I'm looking after my people. Fuck them. Like, they'll have to figure it out on their own. I did. So are they. But I didn't. I didn't figure it out on my own. No. I had help.
Yeah. But is that not just the way you're thinking about it? Because you've got this sort of like, it seems like you have this image which is like, those people are where I was.
Yep.
And I want to be going forward.
Yeah.
That inherently is a negative way of looking at what those other people are doing.
Yeah.
Because you're essentially saying that, mate, I've done things I've got out of that, whereas you haven't. Still a negative way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Is it not better to look at it and say, well, it's not positive. It's not where I was. They're just in a different. They're just living their life, man.
Yeah,
Just,
no, it is.
you know,
And on a day-to-day basis, like if we're just passing each other in the street, that it's no big deal. I don't go around looking down on people and going, "Oh, you're not where I am," and all that stuff. I'm not anywhere anyway. I'm not anywhere. I don't fucking own my own house. You know what I mean? Like, where am I? I'm fuck all as well. We're all in it together in the grand scheme of life. I agree with that. It's just when somebody starts trying to take energy from me specifically. It's when you're confronted with the possibility of, do I have to now have a conversation with this person and give them my time, or do I really have to be getting on? Because I don't know if I can save them in the time that I'm willing to give. You know what I mean? I don't know that I can give anything useful to them in the time that I have. And all I can really say is, well, just fucking get on with it, you can. That's all I've got time for. And is that really going to help? Or is it, like we were talking about last week, just going to be, rudeness disguised as truth?
That's sort of how it seems. That's how it sounds a bit like, yeah. Yeah. So then maybe is it a case of just taking how your girlfriend and how Jess says things? Taking a bit of that?
I don't know. I'm taking a bit of it for sure.
I'm not saying you have to be totally like that. But I'm saying, is it a case of taking a bit of that and being like, okay, maybe I can be compassionate towards these people, rather than just writing them off completely?
I think the world needs people like her, but I also think the world needs people like me. So, I don't know. I guess maybe I'll let her decide. I'll just say, oh, I'm being an asshole here or not.
I mean, yeah, maybe.
And then figure it out over time.
Yeah.
It's not something that I can just like have as big.
No, of course it's not. It's not something that you can just be like, right, good, let's flip that switch. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to happen. But
I feel like I've done a really bad job in this podcast episode of not sounding like an asshole. I mean,
you have sounded like an asshole,
intentionally, what I'm doing is I'm intentionally looking at all of my behaviour, recent behaviour, in the least charitable light possible, which is generally a bad idea.
You mean looking at it in like the worst light?
Yeah, I'm looking at it in like, do I actually look down on people? No, I don't think so. I think it's a hard fucking case to make. I don't actually. Even there's one woman in the gym, right, who I won't name drop. They won't fucking listen to this anyway, but if they do, fuck them, I actually don't care. She's probably the best example of who needs the most help that I just go, fuck off. Who I feel the most aggression towards. She makes me angry because she needs help so much. And I think because she'll just come into the gym and her friends will be in there and she'll talk really loud like this the whole time in the gym. The whole time. Everyone has to hear her conversation. Right, and it's all about how this kid's doing this and this kid's being an asshole and her ex is doing this and he's doing this and she went on this date and I went on this date, did you know I went on this date? Did you know I went on this date? Oh, do you know I'm disabled? Do you know I got this? It's like, how fucking irritating was that 5-minute segment to listen to? Now imagine that stretched out across an entire hour gym session every fucking day you go in there. Like, it's nightmare. Now, do I look down on that person and think, you're not as good as me? Well, that's the fucking question, isn't it? Because there's a part of me, there's a big part of me that gets it. I'm thinking, I'm going down the empathy route. I'm thinking, right, what makes someone that desperate for attention? She obviously needs people. She's not doing this by mistake, right? She might be a bit of a fucking low IQ individual, but she knows that she's being loud. She's doing that on purpose. She's probably attention starved as a child, probably attention starved in life. She's 40 and she's been in nothing but abusive relationships, likely because, you know, she's let that kind of stuff in, because she's had a lack of confidence since day one. All of it is rooted in stuff that I feel makes me feel sorry for her. A lack of confidence, a lack of anyone giving a fuck. The problem is she's gone so far down the road now. I should have just brought this example up from the start, because I feel like I can justify this way more. She's gone so far down the vicious cycle. She never had the guidance to say, hey, I know you want attention. I know you want people to look at you and think that you're beautiful. You're going about it really the wrong way. Being loud and obnoxious and annoying is not going to make people like you. And so she's in this vicious circle where she's annoying. Oh, she's not loved. Or people think she's annoying for some reason, right? She tries to counteract that by being even more fucking annoying, which makes people not like her. And the circle goes and goes and goes. And then she sits there and she goes, why can't I find a man? You know what I mean? It's like, because you're a fucking dick. And that's where what I would say the worst part of me comes out, but is also the more sensible part. It is because you're being a dick. It's because you're an asshole. And you need someone to just fucking grab you by the shoulders and say, stop! Where am I going wrong, though? Because not all of that's right, is it?
No.
I can't allow myself to feel anger. And so in that sense, I look at her and I think, I really don't fucking like you.
But is that not where you're going wrong? Is it that exact thought? Because there's no way, realistically, there's no way you can't just walk up to her and be like, you need to sort your shit out, do this, do that. Like,
no, it never works.
You can't, no, exactly.
No.
So, but then you also can't really, because you're not like friends or anything, you don't really know her that well, you can't really go up to them and be like, oh, like, come on, let's talk about it. Like, you just can't do it. So I think it kind of comes down to some things in life you can control and some things in life you can't.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, you can't really control it. Like, what are you going to do? You've gone through all the options, you can't really do anything about it. So then you have to just, what can I control? Okay, I can control the way I feel about it and how I can maybe take myself out of that situation so I don't have to deal with these things. Okay,
my issue with that then is, okay, the right thing to do is just ignore it, move on. Right, just ignore it. It's not your monkey, it's not your circus. She's not asking you for advice.
Yeah.
But I feel like my quality of life is being infringed upon when, you know, the conduct, she comes to the gym, right? So there's general gym etiquette or any etiquette in a public space. If someone was to walk in here and start shouting, you'd go, wait, shut up. And if they continue to shut up, eventually you'd say, you know what, go on you go, out you go, fuck this. In the gym, you can't really do that. Like, I'm not in a position of power there at all.
No.
I just go there, train, leave. But it feels like, you know, somebody who's so obviously breaking social standards and doing it for attention, regardless of what the reasonable, you know, foundational issues that cause that kind of behaviour are. It's like, you shouldn't be doing this. This ain't right. You shouldn't be able to come in here and annoy everyone, because it's not just me you annoy, it's everyone. Everyone's looking over and going, fucking hell. You know, it's like, so just letting it go just seems like you're just letting yourself be walked over. You're not, there's some inaction there that I'm not taking.
But then you've got like, there's nothing you can really, what can you do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, because so there you go, right?
That is the question. You have to do something. You can't just
I think you need to buy a massive set of noise-cancelling headphones that are about this big.
No, because I can't train with Dad.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, he needs to then get another set, and you need to have like a silent
helicopter pilot things with a mic.
That's it, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Noise cancelling here, and only you can hear each other through the mic. Maybe that's the way forward, right?
That would actually be pretty smart.
That's within your control.
Yeah. Yeah, just buy some military grade fucking walkie-talkie earphones.
Yeah, that's what you need. It's fun. No, I know. And like, jokes aside, like I know what you mean. There is certain situations like that where it is hard. Like, what do you do?
What do you do? How do you fix that?
Yeah.
You can't ignore it, but you can't not ignore it. Does that make sense? That feels like
It's hard to ignore because it's a constant. You can't. I mean, the classic sensible thing, or like the parent thing that you would say is like, well, just take yourself out of the situation. Just go to another gym.
Go to another gym. But there's more there. There's more people like that there.
Yes, yeah. So you can't avoid these people because they're always going to be there in life. Yeah. People are going to be who they are. They're going to be loud. They're going to be in a place. They're going to be a bit obnoxious. They're going to like.
Yeah.
So therefore, if there's always going to be that constant, it goes back to what you can control and what you can do about it and what you can do to make it like what you can do with yourself.
It's even worse. It's even worse in JD gym, by the way.
Oh, it's a bigger gym, isn't it?
It's easier because it's a bigger gym so you can get away from them. But it's actually kind of tragic, you know? It's actually a bit tragic. You go into JD and you see all the people there that are fucking... They're obviously juicing. Not all of them are obviously juicing, but some of them are obviously juicing. They're like 60 and like fucking 3 times the size of me. Like their arm is the muscular lean width of my head. They're all puffy and fucking like acne ridden and all that. You're like, okay, you're not on anything then, no. You're fucking fully nat. But it's like, what drives people to do it? There's another guy in a gym comes in, chucking weights about, grunting, talking to himself. It's like, you're not talking to yourself. You're not hyping yourself up. You're giving us a show because you need us to have. It's not because you think we want the show. It's because you need us to see it. You've come for a long time. You were a loser, and then you finally found something that you actually enjoyed and could stick at. Because you didn't stick at anything when you were younger. So you were just a fucking weasel that just quit on stuff. You finally found something that you didn't quit on and that you actually work hard on. And you're proud of yourself for that. Rightfully so. But then now you're so afraid that people won't recognize that you're actually putting in hard work. That you're doing too much. You're trying to look what I'm doing. And it doesn't work like that. It takes all of the fucking admiration. Anytime you talk about something that you've done, it just completely deletes its significance.
Yeah.
It becomes, this guy in particular, the weights he's lifting, they're all right. They're decent weights. You know, they're quite impressive. What he does is quite impressive. But as soon as he grunts and fucking slams the rack down after, or goes, he actually did this the other day. He actually went, lightweight! As soon as you do that, everyone just automatically thinks you're a fucking prick. And all of your accomplishments, the valid accomplishments, just get consumed with, what an asshole. And then you're sat there at the end of the day going, why does no one recognise what I'm doing? It's because you're doing too much. You're trying to show off. You haven't figured it out. You've got no guidance. No one's there taking. And who am I to be that guy? But equally, I cannot sit there and listen to that every time I go into the gym. I can't come out of the gym every day feeling angry. That's not acceptable for me either. So then we're going to butt heads. And then if you're on roids, then it's likely to turn into a fucking violent confrontation, isn't it? Because you're going to get angry. And now we're going to fight over what? You being a dickhead.
Yeah.
What an ugly fucking turn of events.
Yeah.
That's the railroad I'm on now. And I'm like, well, how do I change the tracks? I refuse to ignore stuff. That annoys me or upsets me. And when it's obviously there are times when I'm too, someone's eating a little bit too loudly. I'm like, shut up. They're not eating too loudly. It's just I've got it in my head that they're eating loudly now. That's for me to solve. But when it's something that's obviously against social standards, when it's obviously annoying everyone else in there, when other people have complained, That's not an option. It's not an option to just say, I've thought about the Buddhist mindset. Oh, look, I'll just be at peace with everything. Everything's going to happen anyway. Just sit back and let it, just take yourself out of it. So, no, it's not going to work for me. Something's got to be done about it. I can't just sit there and fucking let it happen. That feels like cowardice to me.
Yeah.
It's not, I'm not doing it because I'm trying to be a Buddhist and trying to be a better man. It's doing it because I don't want to fucking scrap about it. Not good enough.
I mean, you've come to that decision yourself. I mean, that's...
Yeah, but
It's not what I would do.
What would you do?
I would just do exactly what you said.
Would do nothing?
Yeah.
Just let it happen. Let it annoy you every day.
Well, no, I would just go and change gyms and go somewhere else.
Change gyms just for it to happen somewhere else.
Well, if it happens everywhere, then it's you that's got to sort something out to control it, isn't it? Like, what are you going to do? Go around to every single person in every single gym?
No.
Or every single person in life that you come across and you want to be like, you're annoying me, I'm going to start a fight with you if you don't shut up?
No, because it's not every single person in the gym. It's one.
Okay.
That annoys everyone.
Okay.
So how do we deal with that person?
Have you been to the people in charge of the gym to tell them to do it?
Boy, who hasn't?
Okay.
They just don't want to do anything.
Okay.
In the gym in particular, we got basically everyone there's teenagers.
Yeah.
They're not going to do anything. They're all fucking pussies. There's teenagers.
I feel like
you're
you're basically going into a point of view where you know what the answer is and you just don't want to.
I don't know what the answer is. I don't know.
Well, then I don't know because.
What do you think the answer is? Because you think it's obvious.
I don't think it's obvious. No, I just think you just have to. It's not obvious at all. That's part of the whole reason why I don't think there is an answer. Like, because you go through all the lists of things that you do, and none of them end well, do they? If you start doing that sort of stuff.
So is it just a classic case of you're going to have a bad? Is it just a pick your poison game? There's no good answer. So just pick one and commit to it.
Well, I don't know. It's a
I think that
weird
might
one.
be it.
It's a weird one.
I think that might be it. I think that might be the answer.
Yeah. Again, if that was me, what I would do in that situation, I would literally, I know I just joked about it, but I would just get a pair of noise cancelling headphones, just get my work in, go in, get out, done. Wouldn't let it bother me. You just, basically what you're doing then, it sounds like you're taking what you were saying in terms of that energy in that time. Why are you giving it to those people?
Oh, yeah, that is a problem.
You're essentially giving your time, and you are letting those people make you angry. Why?
I'm doing exactly what I said at the start I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a problem.
Yeah.
That's why, hence I'm trying to solve it.
I know. But I think what you're not letting, you've got this, and again, I'm not saying you, I'm saying like, it seems like you've got this idea in your head that you have to do something about it.
I do feel like that.
Why?
Because no one else is.
Okay. I don't know where I was going with that.
Hey, I've got a fucking answer for everything. Bang, bang, bang.
Yeah, I mean...
I've thought about this a lot. I want violence.
But sometimes there isn't an answer. You're never going to have an answer. You're not going to know everything in life. So sometimes you just have to like deal with it in the best way you can so you don't end up getting all out, being angry and pissed off at the world. Because one person's been loud in the gym.
Well, it's 3 people and it's
okay. So now it's getting okay.
I've told you the stories about 2 of them.
Yeah, I know. And I know.
I'm obviously not going to batter the first one.
No. And I know, but
I'm not going to batter any of them.
I know what you're saying, but it's just like I think you just have to. I don't know, man.
You have to do the impossible. You have to just not let things bother you.
Well, you're not Superman. Like, what are you going to do? Fly in there and be like, oh, yeah, man, like, you stop saying this, you stop saying that, you're annoying me. This is, like, you can't be like Batman or Superman and walk out and be like, I'm the saviour of everyone else in the gym and you're annoying me and because that's not going to solve anything. They're just going to be worse, probably.
Yeah.
That's normally what happens in those situations.
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah, and that is the problem too. It has to be done in a way that's going to minimise the chance.
Yes, like you were saying about, like, you can't just give honesty in a way that's being a dick, because then it's just going to make it worse.
Yeah. Oh Christ! Well,
it's a very interesting situation, really.
That's a rough one, isn't it?
I'm so glad I don't go to the gym that much anymore. I'll stick to climbing walls. They're way better.
99.9% of people, literally everyone except them 3, every single person that walks into that gym is sound as fuck.
Yeah.
And you've got these 3 weapons, and I guess this is partly where this idea of when is it okay to write someone off come about, because of the hundreds of people that use that gym, there are 3 assholes. And everybody knows who you mean. When you say, that one that does that, oh yeah, that one. That everyone knows. Everyone's annoyed by it. I look around, I see, I'm not the only one that's fucking pissed off. Everyone else is going, but everyone's being pussies about it, including myself, and not doing anything about it, which is a problem. We're all creating a rod for our own back. A couple people have complained, and the gym staff have taken the exact same approach of doing nothing. Just don't let it bother you. And that, to me, just feels like it's not that we're trying to be better people, it's that we're trying to avoid confrontation. And I think that's a problem, because these 3 people are allowing to fucking piss everybody off every day, and no one's sorting it out.
All right, you best get your Batman costume out, and in you go.
I don't want to wear a Batman costume. But yeah, so is it justified to say to them people, or to mentally write those people off and say, you're just wankers, even though you know that if you search long enough,
have you genuinely tried just going up to them and be like, look, like, you're making quite a lot of noise, like, and trying to say it in a way that's in a way that, again, have you actually taken the time to sit down, think about what you're going to say, so that you don't say it in a way that's going to, like, annoy them or aggravate them or anything, and genuinely gives them a way to improve and be better?
No, but I know other people that have.
Okay. And nothing's happened with it.
No.
So again, because you cannot change how a person feels or what they're going to do. No. You can't do it. It's not possible. You literally cannot change someone's mindset or how they are as a person. The only person that can change that is them. So unless you've got some weird psychological manipulating powers, like, you can't do it. It's only for them to sort that out. And if they don't see it as an issue, they ain't going to sort it out.
Well, then they have to see it as an issue.
How are you going to make them see it as an issue?
Well, you just have to figure out a way. There has got to be a way.
Well, there you go. There's your answer then, isn't it?
It's like a negotiation, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, there's your answer. Negotiate with them.
I don't think I'm the guy to negotiate with them.
Okay, so there you go. So now you're passing the blame onto someone else and hoping that someone else sorts that out.
Yeah, but only because I don't think that it would go calmly. I think I'm past it now. I think I've let it go. I think the problem is I've let it go on too long, to the point where now, if they're not in the gym, they're not in the gym. Like, I don't think about it. If they're in the gym, I'm now angry. And so
is that not a you issue?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is. But it's like how do you surmount it? Knowing that the issue is yours and actually being able to do something about it is 2 different things, isn't it? Like, how am I going to calm myself down enough now? Which I guess is why I'm exploring this idea of compassion more, because I need to be able to, if the time comes where I speak to them, it can't be me because I'm angry. Because I'm just going to say, "Oh, shut the fuck up, you dick," and it's going to turn into a situation. But it's really hard because they are dicks.
Well, nobody said it's easy. Nobody said that changing your perspective or your mindset on things is easy. How did you get to the point where you can now bench 180 kilos?
Just picked up heavy things lots of times.
All day, every day. For how long?
About 12 years.
Okay. Apply the same time and effort to sorting your mindset out and sorting how you see the world and your perspective on people and being more compassionate for 365 days a year for 12 years. Do you reckon you'd be more compassionate?
You're acting like I haven't done that.
Well, it sounded like you're still in the same point where you get angry at things. If you'd have put the same
get angry at
effort...
them.
Okay, well, you're just passing the blame onto them. You're saying it's their fault.
No, I get angry at them.
Yeah. So you're using them as saying, like, they make me angry.
They do make me angry.
Yeah.
That's not me passing the blame to them.
No, but you're not sorting the fact out that why can't you change the fact that you're not angry at them? That you don't have to be angry at them. Why can't you change that?
I think anger. I don't think there's a useless human emotion. I think I'm justified. I think I'm justified because they're upsetting everybody else in that gym, and they're infringing on the peace. So I think that's what anger is a fear. Anger is a tool that cavemen and stuff would use when they felt under attack. Calmness, peaceness, peace and tranquility is under attack. When they walk in, they're assholes. They slam weights around, which, by the way, has a physical, realistic likelihood of actually damaging equipment as well. Like, there's tons of reasons. There's good reason to be angry. It's just probably not gonna. Well, the worst part of me just thinks, right, they just all three of them need to be put down.
Yeah, I think you're just going round and round in circles here.
But I know, but like,
because I think what you've done is just decided on a.
I hate them.
Yeah, I think now that you've done that, it's very hard to get out of that.
Oh well.
I think the answer you're looking for is in peace, but I think that you're so set on the fact that you dislike them that you can't see past that.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I just don't know how to get out. And neither do you.
No, I'm not pretending I do. Okay. Not pretending I do. Well, I'm just sitting here. I'm just sat here offering my 2 cents, right?
If you know how to get out of this situation, leave a comment below because we are at the end of the podcast. It's 28 minutes, an hour.
There we go.
There you go. Fucking round and round and
round.
I had
a list of 5 things and I didn't get a chance to say any of them.
Yeah, well, good. You can save them for next week.
All right. I'll be in Edinburgh next week. Told you that.
Well, not all week, surely.
Yeah. From tomorrow until the following Tuesday.
Oh.
Well, there we go, everyone.
All right then, everyone. That was an episode of the TV. I feel fucking mentally, physically, emotionally, and sexually exhausted. All right, bye for now. All the best. See you later. Thank you for listening to the Two Beast podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, and share this podcast on whatever your preferred platform is. We'll see you next time. All the best.